Namaste, I'm Kamlesh Kapoor, and this is Hindu Dharma Parent Teacher Training Course, Lesson 3. We are understanding how we engage students in order to make them understand. Today, we are going to be discussing karma, reincarnation, and gunas. I'll define what the word guna is, and we are going to be continuing with self-inquiry, the path of self-realization, how karma affects not only your life, but entire humanity in one way or the other, in the long term or short term. And the entire scenario is to be built in an interactive way where students can get engaged in having a perspective about their own personality, behavior, and how it relates to karma or translates into karma. So, one's innate qualities, one has to understand first. Natural tendencies, we can say innate quality or aptitude. So, who are we? Normally, all religions put two categories. One is the sinners, and the other is the pious person. The pious will go to heaven, and the sinners, who are born sinners, will have to redeem themselves and work for their salvation by worship and by believing in God. In Hindu Dharma, we do not believe in such black and white categories. We believe that people can act one way or a mixture of ways. They can be passionate and very active, dynamic. They can be showing compassion, and at sometimes they are very hard-headed. So people are not just one or the other way. They display a very dynamic kind of combination of traits. So let's see what those traits are. So try to engage the students, ask them about their own abilities and aptitudes. What are your passions? What are your ambitions? What are your ideals? What exactly do you want to achieve in life? And how do you feel happy about doing things, about your own karma? So the entire thing becomes like a dialogue. Upanishads, which talk about the reality of the self or the reality of the cosmos, they are in the form of a dialogue as well, where the teacher is explaining and the questions are being asked by the students. So we are creating a similar type of environment where the students are free to ask and talk about themselves. So they assess their own qualities. Now we ask them to choose one word for their qualities, their ambitions, ideals, the combination. If you have to describe, how do you describe? And then the teacher may offer some help that there are three types of personalities or gunas. Some people act out of the mode of goodness. They are good to everybody. They are positive thinking. And their whole idea is that they should not hurt anybody. So that is called sattva. And then a pure mode of action. Then there is rajas, where there is a desire and there is an action and there is a feeling of happiness attached to the outcome of the action. So that is called rajas. Rajas literally means action and enjoying the fruit of the action. Then there is tamas, where people are acting simply out of ignorance, or they are propelled by outside forces, the propaganda, the TV commercials, and their own innate quality or judgment does not come into place to play a role. So therefore, that is called tamas, which means out of illusion, um, unnecessarily you feel that this may make you happy, or this may satisfy you, or this is the way other people should be acting. This is all illusion and ignorance. Which one or which combination describe you the best? Actually, in this age, we rarely, at least I haven't found, the person who is only sattva. I find combination where sattva is predominant and rajas is less, or there is rajas intertwined with tamas in between. After all, you're human beings and temptation is always there, and you are swayed by illusion and that kind of thing. So basically, there are three types of gunas which affect our inner, personality, which affect our karma, and that also is motivating us to do certain ways of feeling or reacting to other people. Now, so let's see, gunas and responsibilities. We start using the word karma now. What it is not. Karma, once done, cannot be undone. There is not a single action or a word that comes out of your mouth which does not have a reaction. It may be good, bad, or not enough to produce much effect. But it cannot be undone. It cannot be taken back. At best, you can learn a lesson from it. Can it be cancelled through prayer for mercy? No. Can the consequences be annulled by the intervention of the priest? No. Can it be cancelled by offering offering devotion and gratitude in the temple or confessing to the priest? No. So you can take an example of a recent event or an action. If a child slaps another child, he cannot take that slap back. He can mollify the effect by feeling, sorry for his action. The other person is already hurt. That hurt cannot be undone. So you understand that what happened as a result is reaction, and every action is followed by a reaction. Did the affection affect just two parties when one child hurts the other? No. It may have long-term consequences. It may affect relationships in future for the child which is hurt or the child which is bullying. So you see, it makes a pattern. Nothing is out of the whole total scenario. It exactly fits as an action and then follows reaction and then the ripple effect. So every action has a long-term consequences. There is no such thing as karma can be undone. So you can use a practical example. Does the chain of action and reaction ever end? It only ends with our life. But while we are living, even when we are lying down on the bed or we are bedridden, some karma is happening, some words are being spoken, and there is a reaction. So this is the fundamental principle of Hindu Dharma, that laws of karma are immutable, cannot be undone, cannot be countered. Think of the action and think of the consequences. That is the advice from the ancient rishis, that before acting, you think. And before thinking, you weigh your choices. while thinking and absorbing your knowledge or applying your knowledge. You see, take time. So right time, there is a right time for right action. And doer has free will to make choices. Those choices are not made by the priest or by temple goers. It is made by us. We have free will to make choices. That is why karma is a responsibility, because it is our responsibility. It is our choice. So morality type of thing, that word or nomenclature of morality or immorality, this is a very outmoded kind of concept. It does not flow from the top to the bottom, that somebody has laid down this thing and somebody is following it with blind faith or superstitious faith that we have to obey. Morality does not flow like that. It comes from one's own sense of discrimination, one's own goodness of heart, or the lack thereof, or sense of fairness. So, in other words, karma belongs to the doer, and doer has a choice. So these are the things that you are going to be instilling in them one way or the other, again and again, repetitively. Now, students may take historical events of the previous centuries, right? And this is a good kind of platform to start judging people and seeing the consequences of their action. So Hitler will come to your mind, colonialism will come to mind, what the colonial power did to Africa. And eventually, Africa, even when it was given freedom and broken up in different parts, artificial boundaries, it has never recovered. It has been in chaos, which is complicated by religious factors and the mayhem created by warring, converting religions. So you take such examples, take as many as you want to, in order to instill that whatever was done by anybody, it cannot be undone. You may wipe out the pages from history, which is called sanitization, and but that event did happen and affected people. Slavery, for example. In recent textbooks I have seen, it is not mentioned as much as it used to be, like it is one paragraph. And the conquest of the Native Americans and their genocide is mentioned under the heading expansion towards the West, as if nothing else happened. They just moved on and finally reached the Pacific Ocean. That is not how things happen. So we can wipe out the pages as blank of the events, but the events did take place. It affected about 5 to 6 million people at the time when slavery existed. It had a consequence of a civil war. Civil war had a consequence of a lot of death and a lot of damage, which continues till this day. So you see the ripple effect, the consequence of the consequence of the consequence, that chain reaction continues endlessly. So nothing ever happens without any consequence. And you may take any number of examples and reinforce the same thing. And you come to the same conclusion that karma has to be followed by a consequence. So this is a scientific idea which history teaches, life teaches, that karma has consequence, and be responsible with your karma. That is a lesson learned from the history. So this is a scientific thing. Now, reincarnation, which is that the matter is indestructible. So naturally, if it is indestructible, it cannot vanish. It is at best going to change form, which we may call decay. It comes back in another form, which we call rebirth or transformation. But something will happen to the matter. It cannot just vanish out in thin space. It will be there always, changing shapes, changing forms, and transforming itself. And the consciousness also is indestructible, which we call Atma. See, when the person dies, immediately thereafter, they don't refer to the person by name or by a living person. They say the dead body, or simply say body, because the consciousness has gone away. It hasn't vanished. It has just moved from this combination of elements and this body. So, if both are indestructible, then what happens to the living being? The only thing possible is that the matter changes forms and the consciousness moves from one form to the another, and that is called reincarnation. So these are the pillars: immutability of karma and reincarnation. These are the two fundamental principles on which Hindu Dharma is based, and from which the culture itself emanates. You see, the culture is the customs and your attitudes in the society. All of these are dependent on these two things. So is belief in karma fatalism? You know, sometimes, televisions and radios, and most of them are all trying to promote a certain view. They have an agenda. So they will show a person having beads or Om written somewhere, and then they will start saying karma. It's our karma. And then somebody pretending to be a wise guy comes that there's no such thing as karma. Everything is random, accidental. It has no consequence. And the consequence is not related to the karma. So in other words, action and consequence are two separate things, independent of each other. That is not so. So, we have to rubbish this kind of thing. Karma is not belief in fate. Karma is belief in your free will and free choice. We don't leave it to fate. When I am making a choice, I am not saying let the fate take its own turn. No, we are making a choice that we are independent of that. So there are there are certain type of things which are bound to happen regardless. They are called environmental factors or natural disasters on which you have no control. There's no karmic control on these happenings. They are bound to happen. They are meant to happen. And that is called prarabdha, which we call destiny. A person is at the wrong place at the wrong time and caught in the crossfire. It was meant to be that way. He had no control on those larger forces. So we have agami karmas, which means good karmas, which may not look like having any consequence now, but will bear fruit later on. And that is agami karma for the next birth. Sanchit karmas are, if we are born in a good family, wealthy family, lead a comfortable life, that means it is a result of past karma, that we had good karmas in the past. And then there are things that are happening to us which are beyond our control. Environmental forces are there, or natural disasters are there, and sometimes the social disasters are there, man-made disasters. So they are beyond our control. If you are walking suddenly into a violent situation and you are in the crossfire against your very best intentions and cautions, it is called prarabdha. So this third part is the only part which is sometimes we say beyond our control. If it is meant to happen, it will happen. And that is called destiny, prarabdha. Now, what is mindful living? For mindful living, for making good choices, temple visits are not essential. In Hindu Dharma, in India at least, hardly anybody goes to temples. Sometimes they go on a certain occasion, like Diwali and Janmashtami. Sometimes they just visit because they wanted to, and out of gratitude for something. In other words, temple visits are not essential for mindful living, conscious action. Facing stress, choices, and dilemma. How do Hindu beliefs and traditions help us in such situations? So the students should be led to concrete examples. Let them start the discussion where it goes. Add a suggestion here and there. So let them find their own solutions. And what we are doing is, as adults, parents, and teachers, we are providing them guidance. So a stressful situation arises. You are seeing that I'm fired, right? What a disaster. Now there is a stress. Now there is a dilemma. What am I going to do? Or you can say that one chapter of my life is over. Now I am going to figure out what I'm going to do next and take time, resolve the issue, find out what else you can do, how to enhance your, different capacities and different skills in order to reinvent yourself. And that is where the elderly people and people with experience and teachers can help. But Hindu Dharma itself is built around three things: that one should be contented, which means leave the dilemma out, and be stress-free, and make right choices. So all of these things are within the choices and within the reach of everybody. If they aim at contentment, they will be contented. They will see things, adverse situation, differently. Similarly, if they want to be healthy, they will make healthy choices for eating or doing things which keep the body fit. And you can go on and on with various examples. But basically, once we focus on the self and free choices and karma and reincarnation, automatically it leads you to find your own solutions for dilemma, stress, and confusion, anguish, and negative feelings. So brainstorming, you can do, what are my responsibilities? And kids will come out with their responsibility. What are my social responsibilities? You see, helping the poor, the dependents, the people who need compassion, extending the hand of friendship, how to improve our environment, how to avoid anger, angry situations, ambushes, conflicts, all of these. How do we like tragedies happening around? Do we like them? Nobody likes tragedy happening. It makes us sad. What do we want then? We want peaceful life. Our natural desire is not for tragedy and violence and conflict. Natural desire is for tranquility and peace. So what do we want? And what type of ecology we want? So what type of ecology we want to leave for our next generation. So this way you can build the relevance of karma with current realities and one's own responsibilities towards the nature, environment, society, and that type of thing. Having said that, this lesson is absolutely essential, because in no other religion, karma and self, they are given any importance at all. It is always the priest as the intermediary and God as the dictator and the scripture as the written guidebook, and you have no free choice. Within those confines, you are supposed to live your life. But that's not so. So since it is total different outlook towards the self and breaking free of the confines of the priest and the scripture and making choices according to the surrounding realities and making wise choices, that is the most important lesson that is relevant for Hindu Dharma alone. Thank you very much. Next time, we will talk about some other issues which are again fundamentals of Hindu Dharma. Thank you again. Namaste.